Welcome to the Working Mumma podcast, a show that provides real-world tips, tricks, and advice to all working mamas on how they can have a career, family, and hopefully one day break the glass ceiling. Well, hello there, and welcome back to another episode of the Working Mumma podcast. I hope you're going well, and I can't believe it that I'm recording this, that it's almost June, and it's insane how quick this year is going. I don't know about you, but it's just going way too fast. We're in the middle of birthday season in my family. My son, myself, and my husband all have a birthday a week apart, so it's all a bit of a crazy town. But at the end of June, I am going to be holding a very special masterclass, so stay tuned for that. And also there'll be exclusive deals and some very special things happening across Working Mumma in the month of June, because I've got a milestone birthday. So I want to share the love with everyone. So this will certainly be of interest to you if you've ever thought about joining the Working Mumma Village. Definitely this is going to be a great opportunity to join, because we all know that, being a working mum, it has its struggles. But the best part about the Working Mumma Village is that you don't have to do it alone. So if you're a hardworking mum looking for a supportive community that understands the challenges of balancing career and family, well, stay tuned, because the Working Mumma Village provides a vibrant network of like-minded women, and where you get great support, valuable resources, and certainly benefits to help you thrive both personally and professionally. This week on the podcast, I speak with Jordanne, and it's a great story about how motherhood has really crystallized and helped her focus on what she wants for a career. At the moment, she's the primary breadwinner for her family, and her husband has actually taken a bit of leave from his role as a teacher, so then she can pursue her career and her dream of her own web design company. So it's a great story, also debunking some of those myths that, women can't have it all, but also having a supportive partner and husband where, he's taking that step back. So stay tuned. Really enjoy this chat. It was a great one. We do speak about mum guilt and many other topics. So enjoy. Welcome, Jordanne. Welcome to the Working Mumma podcast. How's your day going so far?
Thank you. It's great to be here. I'm having a very good day today, actually. Thank you.
Fantastic. So let's just kick it off and let's get to learn a little bit more about you. How would you best describe yourself, and what's been your career journey so far?
I am a mum of two. I've got a daughter who's almost two, who has just turned 2, and a son who's almost 5. I'm a wife and I'm a web designer. My career journey has been, I never knew what I wanted to do. Like, out of school, had no idea. The only thing I was interested in at school were like the creative things, and I didn't think that I was good enough to make any money doing any of them. So I went to business college. I figured every business needs someone who knows business. So went to business college, became a PA for a surgeon, did that for 2 years, decided I wanted to leave there, still having no idea what I wanted to do. My dad said, why don't you come work for my company for a couple of months while you figure it out and think it through. So those few months turned into 5 years. And I went from like sales support to sales executive to joining the marketing team to becoming marketing manager. And yeah, that just kind of time just melted into 5 whole years of being there and doing that until I had my first baby. And long story short, after having my baby, I now run my own web design business.
Fantastic. So how did you teach yourself web design and upskill in that way? Because you've really evolved, as you said, at the company that your dad was working at. And so what do you think has been that foundation, or has it just always been that creativity or of that inquisitive and thirst for knowledge?
It definitely sort of started in my marketing role. I had done a few courses there to learn some of the design stuff so that I could do it myself and stop outsourcing, because I was really enjoying that. And then after having my son, when my maternity leave was coming to an end, I had a year off with him, and towards the end of that, I realized I did not want to go back to that job. And so I ended up doing a short course in design. A friend of mine ran a design studio, so I asked her if I could hang out there for a little bit, intern, see if it was something that I thought that I could really do. And that ended up turning into some paid work, and that's kind of how I then got started.
Oh, wow. How interesting. And what was the process for you, like as you were coming out of maternity leave, of going, oh, I don't want to go back to that, but you were interested in web design? Just talk us through that, because it's an experience that I know a lot of mums are often faced. They're going back from maternity leave. I love the term matrescence, they've gone through this journey and they're still going through the journey. And then they're going, I don't necessarily want to go back to work. And there's certainly a lot of commentary at the moment about female workforce participation, gender pay gaps, but a lot of part of it as well, they may not want to go back to those roles. And what was it for you that was like, no, I don't want to go back to that company. I want to maybe do my own thing?
Yeah, I would have never described myself as like a career person or someone. I didn't think that I was particularly driven or passionate about anything that I was working on. And so I really enjoyed my maternity leave, and I loved my time with my son, and I couldn't imagine putting him in daycare to go and do a job that I didn't like. And yeah, I just kind of felt like I owed it, almost like I owed it to him, also myself, that if I was going to be leaving him, I better be enjoying what I'm doing and living a life that's going to make me happy, support my family, and in more ways than just financial.
Yeah, no, it's so true. And that's really, I'm sure, resonates with many people. And it's certainly that you're like, if I'm going to do that, I want to actually enjoy what I'm doing and actually make it count and have that. So what has then did that surprise you of what going through that journey? Or are you just like, you maybe when you were going on maternity leave, you didn't think you may go back? Has that one thing really, surprised you about being a mum?
Yeah, I mean, firstly, it actually really surprised me how much I enjoyed and loved being a mum and having a baby. And I know for a lot of women, they find it very difficult. They feel like they lose themselves in that process, where oddly enough for me, it was kind of the opposite, where I felt like it was the first time I felt like I was doing something that I was really good at and I loved doing. And then that made me want to pursue that in a job as well. And so then moving into design and then eventually web design, it surprised me that motherhood is actually kind of what I never thought I was going to run my own business, start my own business, anything like that. And the fact that motherhood is what kicked that off is very surprising.
It's really interesting about how it's you never expect these things, but it can certainly lead you and sometimes give us those pushes into directions we would never have known. And are you now feeling fulfilled? You've said before that you weren't that career driven, but it sounds like you can even hear it in your voice. You sound fulfilled and happy in what you're doing now.
Yeah, I absolutely love what I do. I could do it all day, every day. And yes, I mean, we'll get there, but I now do it all day, every day, because I have grown my business to a point where this year my husband has taken a year off to be with our kids more and allow me to focus on my business more. Yeah, and I can't believe that I have found something that I get to do for work and get paid to do that I love this much.
That's fantastic. And so just talk us through that. What was the journey? And I'm sure it's a journey. It's not like one night you woke up of like, okay, this is what we're going to do. Talk us through that evolution of obviously thinking, yep, my business is growing, and then you want to go all in with, yourself and then your husband taking this year off. So just talk us through that.
Yeah, it was definitely like a slow journey. I suppose not that slow, but to go back, when I was at the design studio, I was once thrown a web design project, had no idea how to build a website. And then throughout the process of building that first website, I realized that it was where like my background in marketing met my new love of design, and that's where that came together. And so that was the first time that I was like, oh, this is, I think, what I could do forever, or like, for the next little while. And then it was when COVID hit. I was 5 months pregnant then. The work from the studio dried up. I still needed to make money for another few months till I had this baby. And 5 months, that's 5 months pregnant in the middle of the pandemic. That's not a good state to be in, to be looking for a job. So that's kind of when I properly stepped out and really started putting myself and my business out there. And then it was just a very slow, after having my daughter, slowly taking on new clients and building that up. And at first I was really content with just it being something that gave me flexibility with my family, but made pretty decent money on the side, and I was happy with that. And then as it grew, and I didn't want to, I love the people I work with, I didn't want to turn a lot of those people away. I ended up working a lot of night times, nap times, weekends to fit all of the work in. And on the other hand, my husband was a teacher, and through the last few years, it has not been easy to be a teacher.
I can imagine that'd be just a challenge in itself.
Yes. And so seeing how burnt out he was, and then how burnt out I was trying to fit all of my work in, it kind of just made sense to switch the roles and yet me go full time in this and him take the time off. And being a teacher, he's also very lucky because on like the days that the kids are at daycare, he can do casual teaching. And so yeah, it kind of just really worked.
That's fantastic. And so how's it all going so far?
So far it's going really well. So we're only about a month in at the moment, I think, of this kind of new arrangement. It's going really, really well. He's having so much fun doing all the things with the kids that I had just like run out of energy to do after 5 years of doing it. And these roles fit us quite well as well in terms of the household side of things. Before I had our first son, he was in a band for 7 years. He traveled Australia, traveled the world, but then he was home a lot. And I went to work to kind of support our lives, because we all know musicians don't make any money.
Yeah.
And so we'd kind of lived the lifestyle already where he did more of the household stuff and I worked. But now the fact that, throw some kids in there.
Yeah, it changes dynamics.
And then the lack of flexibility that comes with working with someone else, and then seeing the flexibility that I have working for myself, it just, it made a lot of sense. And so far it's going really well.
Oh, that's fantastic. And I mean this in a nice way, but have you experienced any mental shift in yourself? I guess from society of like, oh, this is interesting, or from other people as well of saying, no, the traditional male of owning the breadwinner. And have you experienced any of that? And I'm not saying this in a bad way, but I just know
it's the way
that society can be.
Yeah, our family, all of our family and friends have actually been amazing, all so positive. I think they've seen how hard I've worked over the last few years, and so it to them it did make some sense. It's funny how much you can devote, your life and everything you do to building the life that you want and giving your kids the life that you want to give them. I want to give them a good role model. I want to give them more time with their dad. I want to give them more flexibility with me, and that's kind of what we've achieved this year. But I still have so much mum guilt that I'm not doing enough, that I'm not there with them. Like, the pressure from myself, I think, has been more than anyone else. Everyone else is so supportive, but I still just feel that guilt of, am I spending enough time with them? Do they need more of me? All of those things that I think we just will never be kind to ourselves, right?
No. And who do you think that comes from? Because obviously your why is very clear of, yep, this is something I'm passionate about. Your husband's burnt out as a teacher. You seem very clear on your why and your purpose. And I always say that that's the foundation of being a working mum. If you know your why, and I was actually listening to a podcast before we just joined here, and even I was listening to Amy Porterfield, and even she was saying about knowing your why, and it's so clear.
Yeah.
But it's amazing, you're so clear on it, but sadly you still have that guilt.
Yeah, I mean, but I think I would feel it no matter what. It's obviously something that I just need to work through and come to accept that. But I think you look at the full-time mum and say, that's the way to do it. And then they're looking at the working mum and saying, that's the way to do it. And I don't know. I think I have friends who are full-time mums. I have friends who are working mums. I mean, I personally think that working part-time or full-time, whatever you choose, that working makes you a better mum. Having that time away from your kids to miss them.
I agree. I'm a much better mum by working.
Yes. I do. While I do feel like it makes me a better mum, and now that I have more time to do my work, and so I'm not constantly thinking about work when I'm with them and all of that, I'm far more present now. Yeah, still just working through that feeling that I need to be giving them more of me.
Yeah, it's amazing how we struggle with it. You don't hear about dads talking about it in the same way, but you still get it from mums, and it's interesting in that sense. So thank you so much for sharing, because I'm sure that others hopefully resonate with what you're saying, and I know that I do. It's one of those things that as much as you still want to work, you still want to follow your passions, but there's always sometimes and you're thinking, where does it all come from? And why do we feel like this? And
I have no idea. If someone else said that to me, I would think they were insane, but
it's one of those things. And I've even recently gone from 3 days in my corporate role to 4, and people are going, oh, how's it gone? And you missing the kids? But I'm like, no one's ever asked my husband what it's like to work 5 days a week. Everyone just assumes it's okay.
Yeah.
And so how do you see the year playing out, and then moving forward? Is your husband, you're likely going to return back into teaching, which I know teaching's like a full-on emotional load as well?
Yeah, at the moment that we're kind of going to play it by ear. We decided we'd take the first few months to kind of be a bit more, just settle into this new way of life, and me making sure that everything in my business is going well and I'm paying the bills and all of that. He's just started doing some casual work, so just those 2 days a week when they're at daycare, and we're getting into the new routine now, and so far it's working really well, and he is loving doing casual teaching. He always said the part of teaching that he loved the most was the classroom and being able to be with the kids and build relationships and teach them, and that has become such a small part of what being a teacher is. It's now so much of the admin and everything else that you need to do. And he was at a private school, which meant there were a lot of night events and weekend events, and there's the marking, and with casual teaching there's none of that. And so at the moment we're both just really enjoying this, and we're hoping to maybe a bit later in the year, because I can work from anywhere, we might travel around a bit, or yeah, we can kind of do whatever we like, really.
That's awesome.
But we're just going to see how it all pans out, and make the decision at the end of the year about what next year will look like.
That's so good. And what's been the kids' reaction?
They are having a ball. They're enjoying their walks in the national park, and they're going to the beach all the time. And I think because I was so often tied to work, like when my daughter would go down for a nap, we'd have to be here so I could get some work done, and that's what it had become in the last few months. And so they're having a lot of fun on their days with Dad at the moment. They've just started kind of realizing that they're not spending as much time with me, and they've become really clingy with me more recently. But I'm now finding the ways to spend a bit more time with them one-on-one and make sure that they're still feeling connected with me. So it's starting to get a bit better now that we're kind of working all of that out.
Oh, that's fantastic. And have there been any challenges that you've experienced so far with like this arrangement and that of going forward?
No, not really.
That's awesome. I just
sure
wanted to throw it out there. And is there anything that's conversely as well? Has anything surprised you about, even just about your own journey? Because I think we spoke about it before, like if you'd probably taken when you'd finished school to now having your own business and being a web designer, like, has that really surprised you? And sometimes you go, oh, who is this? And also, no doubt hopefully you're proud of this journey and where you are now.
Yeah, definitely. I think that you're right. That surprised me so much that I could spend most of my 20s thinking that I had no drive, that I had no passions. I used to say to my husband, because my husband he felt bad that he was off traveling with his band and like living his dream, and that I was working, and I used to say to him, I don't have any dreams. If you've got a dream, you go for it. Yeah. And to think that I thought that through my 20s and then have now in my 30s have realized, like, have found to myself, have found what I love, and have found something that combines that with being able to make money and create this kind of life for my family that I never imagined. Yeah, it's very surprising where life has taken me.
And all thanks to motherhood, really?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, that's sensational. And do you think that your perceptions and priorities have changed since becoming a mum? I sometimes get the feeling that you're probably more career driven than what you were before you became a mum.
Yeah, definitely. And that also has surprised me. Yeah, definitely that. I think now my purpose and my priority is to demonstrate to my kids the kind of life that they can live, and that, they don't have to go to uni, get the full-time job, stay in a job that they don't love for the rest of their lives because it's just what's expected of them. My priority is showing them that you can kind of define your own version of success. You can live a different life to what's expected. You can have a really big impact on the world and on people and follow your passions. And yeah, you can just do it your own way.
Oh, what a good role model, and what a great way to actually instill that in your children and really have those really strong values and purpose. That's really remarkable and really inspiring. So thank you so much for sharing.
No problem.
So Jordanne, what would you tell your younger self about being a working mum?
That's a good question. I think I'd tell her that no one works as hard as mums who work.
Yeah.
No one is more efficient as a mum.
Amen, sister.
Mums who work, I think you could work, anyone working 3 days is getting a full-time job done. They're just only being paid for 3 days.
Yes,
Mums
100%.
are amazing. Yeah, so mums are amazing. But I guess I would just say that, you know, I probably wouldn't believe how much all the different things have come together, and how, you know, everything that I thought was potentially pointless at the time, or could never see that knowledge or that experience being helpful. Everything helps you, and every experience just kind of continues to grow your knowledge and expertise in ways that you have no idea is going to come back and be helpful. And yeah, I just think that everything kind of works together to lead you to the path that you're meant to be on, and it all, I mean, for me so far, it all has worked out.
Well done. No, that's such a good story, and such a great reminder, I think, as well. And so what do you do to fill your cup?
I'm trying to get better at this. I'm trying to take more time to go a bit slower. And I think I've just been for the last few years, it's just been any spare second I need to work and get as much done as possible, because I don't know when I'm going to be able to finish that thing, or what if the kids are sick tomorrow and can't go to daycare, and then I lose my day at work, and all of those things. And so I'm really trying to slow myself down and get myself into a more sustainable pace where I feel more relaxed, and I'm just not so stressed and hard on myself all the time. So I'm taking some more time out of my week to spend time in with other women who are running their own businesses, and I get really inspired by just talking to other women who are doing similar things. So building relationships, that's been something that I've really been prioritizing for myself this year. And like we were talking about earlier, I love to go for a walk and listen to a podcast, or that kind of thing makes me feel really inspired too. And I also love a good massage.
Yes. How good's a good massage? Amazing. Well, thank you so much, Jordanne, for sharing your journey and your inspiring story with us. Thank you so much, Jordanne, for sharing your story. And it's actually great to hear how you've really found your purpose and your passion since becoming a mum, and the path that it's now set you on. And I can't wait to see how things evolve over the next couple of years for you, and also your family, and how it all goes. So definitely keep us up to date, share the stories, because we need to be sharing more about how we are breaking those molds and those mental models about what it's like to be a working mum. So just quickly, where can people find out more about you and also see your web designs, because of your web design business?
Yeah, well, thank you for having me and listening to my story. So you can find me at, my business is Jordanne Co., which Jordan is spelled a bit funnily. It's JORDANNE. So my website is jordan.co. My Instagram is jordan.co. LinkedIn, I'm Jordanne Collins. Wherever you are, you'll find me.
Sensational. Well, thank you so much, Jordan, and we'll catch up soon.
Thank you so much for having me. See ya.
See ya.
Thank you for listening to the Working Mumma podcast. Subscribe to the podcast on iTunes, Spotify, or your favorite podcast catcher. I invite you also to join the Working Mumma community on Facebook and join in the conversation with other like-minded working mums. Please also feel free to contact me on any of the Working Mumma social channels. Remember, Mumma is MUMMA. Via Instagram at workingmumma_au, or website www.workingmumma.com.au. I would appreciate you to share this podcast with friends and colleagues, especially those that are parents managing the juggle. And I would really appreciate if you had to take the time out to leave a review of the podcast. I'll be giving a shout out to select people that do so stay listening, and you might be one of them.
Thank you and see you next time. Have a great week.